Hi guys, I thought I'd use this video today to go through a little trick that I used to use when I wasn't as confident at converting degrees to radians. So first of all, what I used to do is I used to start with a unit circle. Now we know this is a unit circle because we have these coordinate points here. This is going to be 1, 0. We've got 0, 1, -1, 0, and we have here is 0, -1. Great. So what I used to do is, to start with, we know that this part in a unit circle, when we're measuring degrees, we measure going anti-clockwise. So we start from this point and then we go around to this point. So here it's going to be, to start with, we're going to have 0 degrees, and we're also going to have 360 degrees. And alternatively, over here is 180 degrees, we've got 90 degrees, we've got 270 degrees, and those are our main points. Now, to start with, what we have to remember is 0 degrees corresponds to a radian measure of 0, and 360 degrees corresponds to a radian measure of 2 pi. Now, that is all you really have to bring to this, because the rest you can sort of nut out by yourself. So, to start with, to get the other main angle points in this unit circle, we know that 180 is half of 360. So the radian measure is going to have to be half of what its corresponding 360's corresponding radian measure is. So this is going to have to be half of 2 pi, or just pi. So same sort of logic with 90. 90 is half of 180. So its corresponding radian measure is going to be half of pi, or pi over 2. Again, same logic. 270 is halfway between pi and 2 pi. So the radian measure, which corresponds to 270, is going to have to be 1.5 pi, or halfway. So 1.5 pi, written as a fraction, is just 3 pi over 2. Now, got our 4 quadrants sorted out. Let's start with our main angle measures. So the first one I'm going to do is 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is from here to there. So what we have to do, let's just write it in for ourselves now. So 30 degrees is here. So, like we did with the pi is half of 2 pi, we know that 30 degrees is a third of 90 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the radian measure, which corresponds to 90 degrees, and we're going to multiply it by a third. So that's going to be pi over 6. So 30 degrees is pi on 6. The next one we're going to do is 60 degrees. Hang on, that was the worst line I've drawn in a while. 60 degrees. Now, again, there are many different ways we can do this, but 60 degrees is double 30 degrees. I know, pretty groundbreaking stuff, but 60 degrees is double 30 degrees, so its radian measure is going to have to be double pi on 6. So this is going to have to be 2 pi over 6, which is equal to pi over 3. So 60 degrees is pi over 3. The next one we're going to draw is 45 degrees. So what we're going to do, here we have 45 degrees. Now we know that 45 degrees is a half of 90 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the radian measure for 90, which is pi over 2, and we're going to multiply it by a half. And that gives us pi over 4. I just looked at that and then it came out as that. So sorry about that. Now, okay, so now we're going to do the radian measures for the angles in quadrant 2. So what we have here is we have 90 plus 30 degrees. So this is 120 degrees. Here we have 90 plus 45 degrees. So 135 degrees. And here we have 90 plus 60 degrees, or 150 degrees. So the logic behind these ones is 120, like we just said, is 90 plus 30 degrees. So its radian measure is going to have to be the radian measure for 90, which is pi over 2, plus the radian measure for 30, which is pi over 6. Now, pi over 2 is 3 pi over 6, plus pi over 6 is 4 pi over 6, or 2 pi over 3. Another way you could have done that is 120 is double 60. So 60 is pi over 3. So 120 is 2 pi over 3. So 35 is 90 plus 45. So to get 35, we're going to get the radian measure for 90, pi over 2. And we're going to add the radian measure for 45, pi over 4. Pi over 2 is like saying 2 pi over 4 plus 1 pi over 4 is 3 pi over 4. Now, 150 is the same as 90 plus 60, or we could say 150 is 30 times 5. So we can go the radian measure for 30 degrees, which is pi over 6, and we can just multiply it by 5. So we're going to get 5 pi over 6. So you can see that there, if you have a unit circle like this, it's quite easy to deduce what all of the different radian measures are for all of the different angles. The angle 35 degrees. Cool. So what I'm going to do, I'll do it down here. Now 35 degrees is, as a fraction of 180, 35 over 180. Now, we have to simplify this. So 35 and 180, 5 goes into both. So 5 goes into 35 7 times. 5 goes into 180 36 times. So that's the fraction that 35 is of 180. So what we do is we use that fraction, we multiply it by what 180 is, and that's our radian measure. So 35 degrees is going to be equal to 7 pi over 36 radians. So this is how when I first started when I was 15 in radians, how I first started to deduce them before I became confident with just learning them through memory. So it might help, it might not. If it does, that's great. So yeah, have a go at it, see if it gels with you, and I'll see you here next time.